Yeah, hi. So my name's Anushka. I'm a second year undergrad. I'm currently working in an MPI rotation in hair care, new concepts, futures. So that's really exciting. I'm really enjoying it. A bit about myself, like before Dyson. So I went to Oxford High School in Oxford, and I kind of applied to a wide range of universities via UCAS, including like material science, electronics, engineering. Like there was a really wide range. There was physics and philosophy in there as well. It was kind of everything that your teachers tell you not to do in terms of applying to lots of different ones. But like my top choice for UCAS was design engineering at Imperial. And yeah, I chose Dyson in the end, and I'm really happy with my choice. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
That's great. And Jelly?
My name's Jelly. So I'm a third year undergrad. I am originally from Essex, and I studied maths, physics and chemistry at A level. And then I thought I wanted to do chemical engineering originally, got a bit confused, eventually decided I wanted to do mechanical engineering. My top choice was to go to Nottingham to do product design engineering. And I actually found it quite a difficult decision whether I wanted to come to Dyson or not, because I really enjoyed the concept of like a nice uni social life. But I wouldn't go back. It was a great choice. So again, fire away with any questions.
That's great. And finally, Jacob.
So I'm Jacob. I'm a second year undergrad. I'm from Somerset originally. Did maths, physics and further maths at A level. Well, that feels like a long time ago. And I was pretty much keen on engineering through most of A levels, and was also keen on electrical and mechanical engineering as a hybrid sort of course. So I actually held an offer at Bath University to do integrated mechanical and electrical, which is a very similar sort of course to this, but without the workplace side of it. So I ended up deciding to come here because the aspect of being in the company at the same time was way more attractive than studying for the whole 4 years.
That's great. Thanks, guys. And yeah, some really interesting kind of things there, which I'm hoping we'll be able to bring to light a bit more as the session goes on, as we kind of explain a bit more about the Dyson Institute. So yeah, just once again, in terms of what to expect today, so I'll give you a bit of background and overview into the Dyson Institute, where it came from, what the vision is, and then we'll talk about the fact that with the Dyson Institute, there is a degree on offer. There is also a career on offer through the apprenticeship and the workplace element. It's also a really unique experience, which these guys will definitely back up with their kind of stories of kind of student life and what it's like to be an undergraduate at the Dyson Institute. And then I'll take you through the kind of applying process and all the kind of nitty gritty of admissions and what you need to apply and that sort of thing. But yeah, and as Ellie said, there'll be an extended time of kind of Q&A at the end as well. So do get those questions coming in as we go along. Anything you think of, no questions are silly questions, so get those in and hopefully we'll be able to answer those as we go. So let's get started. So what is the Dyson Institute all about? So this is our vision and our mission, which you can see there. So we say it is for those with a real passion for solving problems and a fascination for kind of how things work. It's kind of that fascination for how things work and taking things apart. And if that sounds like you, if that's starting to feel like something you're interested in, then we're hoping that this will be a really exciting opportunity for you. So the Dyson Institute was an initiative by Sir James Dyson to help kind of fill the void of engineers in the country. So I think at the moment there's about a shortfall of 60,000 engineers, he reckoned, every year that we need in the UK. So he's had a real passion for kind of for filling that gap, I guess. And this has kind of been on his heart for, I guess, the last 20-30 years. In 2002, he set up the James Dyson Foundation, which some of you may have come across through your schools or whatnot. He's also invested billions of pounds into higher education, such as the University of Cambridge and Imperial College as well in London. And in 2016, he kind of went to the then university's minister, Joe Johnson, and kind of took this challenge to him and was like, we need to do something about this. And Joe Johnson came back with the challenge to set up his own university. And so kind of James, being the pioneer that he is, took that challenge on. And in 2016, 2017, he set up the Dyson Institute. And this was initially set up in partnership with the University of Warwick. So for the last 3 years or so, which is when we kind of started the course. The degree element was taught and awarded by the University of Warwick. And this kind of gave us a real kind of good understanding about what makes a good course. It was kind of built in partnership with Dyson engineers. To have that partnership was really great. But we've also been exploring in the last 3 years the possibility of having our own degree awarding powers. So that would mean that the degree is awarded and taught by the Dyson Institute ourselves, so our own engineering academic team. And actually, you may have seen in the news that as of yesterday, I think it is, yesterday we received the new degree awarding powers. So that means that from 2021, we will be awarding and teaching the degree apprenticeship ourselves. So you'll have the Dyson Institute logo and name on your degree certificate at the end of the 4 years. So it's a really exciting time for us, we're the first higher education institution to kind of get these new degree awarding powers. So there's lots of things to be excited about with the Dyson Institute. And yeah, the way that we kind of want to do this is using the degree apprenticeship model of delivery. So some of you might have heard of degree apprenticeships. This one's a little bit different, as you'll find out, but degree apprenticeships essentially allow you to study for a full degree, but then also work towards an apprenticeship. And this means that you're kind of getting that real life work experience along the same time as studying towards your degree. And that's what the Dyson Institute's all about. It's about that immersive experience of combining your study and your work experience to kind of forge your career in engineering. And hopefully through this presentation, you'll kind of see that it's a really unique experience as well. So yeah, here it is on a page. You study towards a BEng Honors Engineering degree apprenticeship. You'll work as a real engineer in Dyson's global engineering team. You'll enjoy a really unique student experience, and you'll earn a salary from day one, and you pay no tuition fees. So there's a real possibility that you could graduate debt-free, which I think in this day and age is something that is really amazing, and a really unique opportunity to kind of start your career off on the right foot from the very beginning. And I think one of the really unique things is that actually being a Dyson Institute undergraduate, you're also a Dyson employee, as I said, working in the global engineering team. And this brings lots of kind of perks as well. So I don't know, Jacob, Anushka, Jelly, why don't you just give us a flavour? What's kind of the best perk or best thing about being a Dyson employee, let alone kind of being an undergraduate at the Institute?
I've got to say that getting paid is an incredible perk. Like, I know you're supposed to say all sorts of things about how you're getting a great experience, it's a really hands-on environment, but being paid is incredible, you know. And I speak to my friends at uni who are like struggling, got a lot of debt, and I don't, and I'm not going to at the end of it. So I think that's got to win for me.
Just Anisha, sorry to jump in before. Yes, perfect. I was just going to say around the size, that's perfect.
Yeah, I think my first point would be what Jelly said, actually. It's great to have financial independence as well by the age of 18. And obviously I don't know about like your family's like personal financial situations, but I think for anyone, there's nothing bad about literally having a salary at the age of 18. It's excellent, it's great. But other than that, I would say actually being able to like involve yourself in the workplace from the very start is actually so useful. Like, you learn so many skills that you just wouldn't until you finish university. So like booking meetings, like really simple things that actually take a lot of time to like fully get to grips with. So just like generally like how to interact with colleagues, how to communicate with friends in the workplace, like really important life skills that you gain really quickly. So that's probably it for me.
So I'd say I definitely agree with Anushka on the workplace aspect. It's really useful to not have to wait 4 years to actually be an engineer. And I like the fact that when you arrive, even though you have no experience in engineering at all, my first rotation, they threw me straight in and they were asking me questions like I was already a qualified engineer. And that was really exciting because it's like, my opinion is not like just a student, I'm actually an engineer in this environment, and they're taking sort of my input quite seriously, which was really exciting to start straight away with. And so I'd say the other point of view for being at the Dyson Institute particularly is that the caliber of people that are able to get through the admissions process is really quite good. Like, I'm sure if you guys are all here, you're already really on the way, as has been said before. But it means that everyone that's here is really passionate about engineering and really like got lots of drive to actually study and work hard to get it, and that's really contagious, as opposed to perhaps a conventional university. Not everyone might be quite so motivated, whereas here everyone is really, really on it.
Yeah, can I just quickly jump in as well, Jake, kind of like off the back of what you said? I think for me also, it's really nice to be able to get involved with other aspects of the business as well, and that's something you wouldn't get at uni, just because we are literally like in a global functioning company, and that's great. So if you're interested in sustainability, you can get involved with that. If you're interested in like marketing, I'm sure you can get involved with that as well. So it's not just engineering, there's a lot more to it, which is great, I think.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, guys. So yeah, I think we can see there the experience you gain being at the Dyson Institute. 4 years work experience as an engineer is something that you're not going to get at traditional university. So this means that at the end of the degree, you've got all that experience behind your back. So you don't necessarily need to go on and do a grad scheme or a master's or anything like that, because you've had all that experience already. But yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth as we go. So welcome to the Institute. This is kind of the entrance to the Institute space on campus at the Dyson Technology Campus, which we'll explore a bit later. So there's loads of kind of lecture theatres, breakout spaces. This is where we as staff work as well. So we work alongside our undergrads, which is great fun. And this is where kind of all the teaching towards the degree element of the course goes on. So I'm just going to talk you through the kind of degree structure. So the degree is, it's a 4-year degree apprenticeship, and this was developed by Dyson engineers. So as I said, we've been through a process of 3 or 4 years with partnership with Warwick University, but now this is being handed over and we are taking this on ourselves, which will give us that real ability to tailor it to the industry needs, which is something we're really excited for. As I said, the new degree awarding powers means that it will be our own academic team teaching this. So these are our own Dyson Institute lecturers, who we have been recruiting for the last year or so, and they are going to be there to support you through the degree. As you can see, there's pictures there of the lecture theatre, and we've got kind of breakout spaces for seminars and that sort of thing. So there's lots of support there from the academic team. So you will be studying 2 days every week towards your degree. So this is something which is also a bit different from other degree apprenticeships. So other degree apprenticeships, you will normally do kind of block learning at a partner university for a few weeks, and then you'll then go into your workplace for the rest of that term, and then kind of do the same for the 3 terms of the year. Whereas with us, it is every week is pretty similar, 2 days towards your degree, and then the other 3 days a week are in the workplace, as we'll find out soon enough. The first 2 years, you study a fairly general syllabus for general engineering. So this covers mechanical, electronics, software engineering. And then from years 3 and 4, you get to choose to specialise from one of those areas. So you would have had that 2 years to kind of work out where you're really passionate and where you want to take your career, I guess. Perhaps, Jelly, why don't you just let us know, what are you specialising in now that you're in 3rd year, and how did you find that process of choosing?
Yeah, so I've chosen to specialise in mechanical engineering. I really enjoyed software. I'm not actually that good, and I don't really enjoy electronics a lot though. So I decided to go for mechanical. I'm a very hands-on person. I've always been good at like building things. And there was a really nice system set up with one of the Institute team, where you sit down and you chat with them, sort of talk through these ideas you have, and they sort of suggest to you streams that you might enjoy. And then I was choosing between mechanical and electromechanical in the end. And you're given loads of resources about like the different topics and things you study. And eventually I just decided mechanical looks a lot more interesting and better at building things. So
that's great. Yeah, and then obviously we've got Anushka and Jacob who'll be making that choice at the end of this year. So yeah, there's lots of kind of support in making that choice. And I think if you're not really sure where you want to specialise, doing this kind of structured programme where you get to experience all of the different elements and then specialise is a really good option for you. So that's the kind of degree kind of structure. And this is just a short video of some of our undergrads talking about that. The video kind of visual might be a bit jumpy, but hopefully the audio will be okay. Let me know if you can't hear it.
It's much more of a classroom experience, even more so than I had at school. You get quite close as a cohort, so there's only like 30 people in first year. So you got to know each other really well, and you have that same relationship with the lecturers as well, which you wouldn't usually have.
Yeah, everyone wants to help each other and bring each other up.
If you don't understand something, everyone is there to help you. There's so much support and help.
We obviously have great facilities for academic development here. Lecture days can be really challenging because a lot of content's taken in a day, but in your work days you get to apply that knowledge and you visualise it, and suddenly the penny drops.
It's definitely worthwhile. I've learned so much since being here.
I think if I'd been to a normal uni, I would have sat there being really bored thinking, how on earth am I ever going to use a differential equation in real life? When here you can see one in maths and then say, oh, well, that's how it applies and I can use it right there to do this thing. If we get a 2-1, then we're guaranteed a job at Dyson. So for me, it's really nice that I can think more long term and I know that there will be a place for me if I want it.
Thank you for your interest in what we're doing. We're really excited, and what we're determined to do is produce the world's best engineering graduates.
There we go. So hopefully that's giving you a bit of a flavour for kind of the degree element. So moving on to the career. So as well as kind of studying towards your degree, you're also starting your career as an engineer. So the way that we help you do that is that you'll be working as a full-time undergraduate engineer for 3 days a week. So as I said, you'll do two days towards your degree studying, and then 3 days in the workplace. You'll be working alongside Dyson engineers who have been there for potentially 10, 20 years. They're at the top of their game, really skilled, and you get to learn alongside them. You'll be gaining responsibility, working on real life projects. So these aren't just projects fabricated for your educational purposes. These are real business projects at Dyson, which are propelling the business forwards. And you get to kind of work in the real state-of-the-art labs that we have on site that, I don't think many universities will have access to. And all of that, you're getting paid for what you do. So you have real responsibility, and with that comes a really good starting salary. And that salary will increase every year as your experience grows. I'm just going to pick on Jacob here. Jacob, what's your favourite thing about the workplace? What are you doing at the moment? What can you tell us that's not top secret, and what do you enjoy about it?
In terms of what I'm actually doing at the moment, I think the category actually I can't even talk about. So I'm in D9. Everything's got D with the names in front of it, so like D8, D9, all different places. D9 is where all the secret stuff happens. So that's anything new that's so new that it has to be like contained, and only the people that have to really know about it. So the team I'm working in is on a really exciting new technology, which will be really cool, and it's really exciting to be a part of that. Unfortunately, I actually probably can't say more. In terms of the best part for the workplace, I think, as I mentioned before, just being taken seriously as an engineer is really useful. I mean, I was doing something today and I was just like creating some pretty looking graphs, and my line manager was just like, they were like really impressed, that's really cool. And I'm there like, okay, like I just made some graphs, like this is cool. I feel like an engineer who's made some good progress here. And it was, just brilliant to be. I think the input's actually really appreciated. Oh, that's things to bring up actually. So the projects you're doing, they're not just like side projects. Like you might do work experience and they might be like, welcome to this big engineering company, and could you make some coffee and build this Lego model in the corner while we do the real work? It is actually projects that the team wants done and needs done. What teams will often do is they'll give you work which is not as such a pressing time deadline, i.e. if it doesn't happen in that amount of time, they're not going to stress that you're holding up product lines, but they're giving you a project that they need available at some point, but they haven't had the time or the resources to probably commit someone to. So they find it really useful to have an undergrad in, and you come and do the work, and then they can help you, and it really assists their work and making things happen. So far the teams I've worked in, I've built things that will then help to test further things. And I know that my input's actually going to get used, which is really exciting.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Jacob. And yeah, you'll get used to the top secret nature of being on campus very soon. But that's what I think makes it really exciting, is that these are real innovative technologies that you get to work on, and things that that people won't have heard of until they become released. So having that kind of secrecy around it, I think it is something that can be really exciting to work on. So in terms of kind of what you'll get up to in the workplace, obviously we can't say too much, but in terms of the rotations and the structure that works. So 3 days a week you'll be in the workplace, and in your first 2 years you'll do 3 4-month long rotations in each year. So in your first year These are the 3 rotations that you'll go through. So you'll get to work in an embedded software team, a mechanical team, an electronics hardware team. And then in your second year, you'll get to experience kind of areas of the wider business, so NPI, new product innovation, and then a couple of different areas of research. So this will give you kind of that broad understanding of engineering at Dyson, what that looks like, and hopefully then set you up for years 3 and 4, which, like with your degree where you choose a specialism, you will then go into a workplace teams, which kind of correlates with that. And that will be your workplace team for kind of years 3 and 4. And kind of what we offer with the program is the ability to kind of stay on full time if you want. So if you achieve a 2-1 in your degree, then you're guaranteed being offered a job at Dyson. But equally, if you don't want to stay at Dyson, then you don't have to stay. So lots of kind of apprenticeship schemes will kind of tie you in for a certain amount of years. But here at Dyson, we want to kind of enable you to go wherever you want to go. If that's staying at Dyson and kind of growing your skills in Dyson, then that's great. If that's going into another company and having influence in that company as an engineering leader, then equally that's great. Our mission is to kind of really affect the engineering sector and have a positive impact. So that's kind of some of the stuff that you'll get up to in the workplace. So we're just going to listen now to another video of some of our undergrads talking about what it's like to be in the workplace.
So the Institute is kind of a different way to approach engineering. For most people, it's kind of been, you go to university, you work there, maybe you do an internship or a placement year, and then you go into industry and you go from there. Whereas coming here, we've had a lot more career-focused things to do, so we spend a lot of time in the workplace.
Working on a real project is very different to academics. It gives you a real sense of responsibility.
It's been way more exciting than I think sitting in lectures 5 days a week would be.
We get to experience mechanical, electrical, software, like all aspects of the company.
You bring your inexperience with you, and it's actually a massive advantage at times because you see things in a completely different way to them.
Our lack of experience does help the other engineers. Like, you know, someone could be solving all these crazy equations, trying to really figure out how to wire this thing up, or what's the best way of doing this. And you just drop something simple like V equals IR, like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I've been too busy writing all these pages.
Yeah, refreshing for everyone else, and it is useful. It's kind of like the Dyson ethos, it's that blue sky thinking, to kind of think outside the box and take the risk.
It's definitely not an undergraduate and engineer scenario, it's just we're all engineers and they treat us like engineers and we treat them. We're all just kind of colleagues together.
As soon as I'm in the workspace, in the headspace, like, it's like, this is my job. Like, I am an engineer. I can, like, feel it building up, so I feel more of an engineer, like, more of the time.
I mean, there's no point of having skills if you're not actually going to use them to impact the world. That's the whole purpose of an engineer.
There we go. So obviously we are helping you forge your career, and that doesn't just mean having experience in the workplace. We want to kind of really have an influence in your professional development. So the way that we do that is that alongside the workplace, we kind of deliver a program of professional development that starts during your induction in your first year, and then will kind of continue throughout. And this includes kind of one-to-one coaching, dedicated professional development sessions, and also something which we call the summer series. Perhaps Anushka, why don't you explain what the summer series is and an example of what you've done in the summer series?
Yeah, so instead of university during the summer, when most students would obviously go home, do their own work experiences, you know, get a summer job, we continue to work at Dyson 2 days a week, but on our own project in first year. So the actual projects for summer series vary each year. For our year, it was to form groups and literally just spend the summer term developing a product or a prototype that would contribute to one or more of the UN sustainability goals. So it's really nice to have that as a theme to kind of work around. Personally, my team were developing a microplastics capture initiative. So we were using a hydrocyclone to capture microplastics from car tires. And this was actually a project entirely led by us, so led by students completely. The idea was a fellow student came up with the idea, and we continued and carried it on all the way through to a working prototype at the end. And actually having to manage ourselves and having to actually bring something through from just an idea to a working prototype allowed us to gain so many skills in such a short amount of time. And I think having the independence and freedom to do that was amazing, and something that I wouldn't have got if I was at uni during the summer.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, the summer series, it's there to, so during the summer term where we're not delivering academic teaching, it's that ability to apply your kind of learning in a new context. So obviously it's something that's not related to Dyson products, it's something new. Sometimes the undergrads come up with their own projects, sometimes it's a project which is given to them, and a really ability to kind of bring together all these skills that we're trying to teach them. So kind of communication, all these things that are on the slide here, teamwork, project management, you get to bring that all together and kind of have an experience of coming up with something from absolute scratch. And then they'll end up kind of presenting that back to some real senior members at Dyson, some senior engineers, some people on the board, on the exec, that kind of thing. And it's just a really good experience to kind of increase your professional development. So I'm now going to hand over to Jelly, who's going to talk a little bit about what it's actually like being a student at Dyson and the kind of student life aspect of that. So Jelly, over to you.
Yeah, so as I sort of briefly mentioned before, one of the things I was a bit concerned about coming here was like the social life. I am going to say now, it's not uni, like it's not uni social life, but there is still loads of opportunities. So last year I was involved with the social team, and this year I organised a ski trip, part of cheerleading club, and I also organised the winter ball. So there's loads of different opportunities for us to put on events and things. So we have trips, events, and then societies. So trip-wise, like I said, we have a ski trip. That's a huge event. We've just had 90 people sign up to go to Team, hopefully in February. And then we have like surf trips throughout the year. We have like adventure society, climbing trips. And then aside from that, there's different societies and clubs. So they're also really open for you to set up. So if there's a club missing or something you're interested in, there's like a little bit of funding and loads of opportunity and support to just set one up. So we have clubs from like walking, climbing, games, like art, music, whatever it is. There's probably already a club for it. And then we have the like one-off events. So these are mostly organised by our social team, which are just other undergrads. And we have events like paintballing, go-karting, roller disco, like all sorts of things. And there's also, if you think of an event and you want to put it on, they'll just give you a bit of a hand with it. So you've had quite a lot of them. And then the social team are also responsible for putting on night out buses. So Malmesbury campus is like, Dyson campus, sorry, is like 45 minutes from Bristol. So I've like chosen to live in Bristol because I like the idea of having a bit more of like the life of the city around me. But some people still prefer to live nearer to campus. And the social team put on buses like every 2 weeks that take out basically. So it's like getting on the train to go on a night out in the city, and it picks you up at about 3 a.m. and drive you home again. So that's great. And, you know, they're really trying to make sure we get a bit of uni life. And then sort of outside the social life, there's like really small cohorts. There's about 40 people in each cohort, roughly. So it's really nice to get to know everyone. Like there's no one that I wouldn't just sit down at lunch with and have a chat. It's really nice to get on really well with people. And it also makes it a bit easier for us to like integrate within Dyson. So there's several Dyson events, big events throughout the year. One being Summer Fair, and then another one being Dyson Christmas Party, which if you spend any time around people from the Institute, they will tell you about the Dyson Christmas Party. It's a huge event where everyone from Dyson is invited, and it's given a theme, and everyone dresses up for it. And normally you might be like, oh, parties dressing up, that's not really a cool thing to do. But with loads of engineers, everyone dresses up. There's prizes for the best costumes. People take days off work to build their costumes. There's prizes for like the biggest costume. There's extra buses to transport them. It's like an incredible event, and you get to meet people from across the business. So you might be dancing with like your future line manager, or just sit down for a meal with like one of your friends' line managers or something. And then aside from that, there's also like Dyson clubs you can get involved with. So the Institute and the grads and the interns are also all quite close, and we try to put on events together. And then also with wider Dyson, you can do events like I've done Tough Mudder, or some of my friends have even climbed the 3 peaks with external Dyson people. So even though it's not like your uni social life, there's definitely some life around, and we definitely try and put a bit of effort into it. So.
That's great. Yeah, and I think one of the pictures here you can see on the right is from the Christmas party, some of the outfits, and I think this next video also has a couple of clips from there. So these are just some of the highlights from kind of Dyson social events in the last couple of years. So enjoy this. And you probably saw Bath Rugby is there, so Dyson sponsored Bath Rugby, so we have a good partnership with them, so that you might get to kind of do some events and go to games and that kind of thing, which is always a good laugh. So now it's on to student support. So there's lots of things which you have to kind of keep together during your experience. You've got the degree, you've got the career, you've got all your student life stuff as well. So Anishka's just going to talk us through how we support our undergrads when they're with us.
Yeah, so we're surrounded with all the support we need to thrive at Dyson. And as you've obviously already picked up on, it's a really intense course with so many different strands to have to juggle. So I would argue that the support structures in place are a really important pillar of the Institute. And yeah, they're really important to have, and they're really well executed as well. So picking up on just a few key areas that I've experienced personally, I guess. So student support advisors, everyone gets to interact with. So you'll have one for your year group, and you have monthly, if not more frequent, meetings with them. And this is just like a half an hour opportunity to catch up, talk about how your work and academics are going, how your social life's going, whatever you want to share with them, they're there to listen. I find it's a really nice casual environment to bring up any concerns. It's not intimidating at all. It is just a chat, and by the end of the 4 years, you'll get to know your student support advisor so well that they can really help you with professional development, career planning, time management, planning out your work, all of that. So that's great to have that system in place. I'd also say that our year group is very small. So all of our year groups are smaller than a normal university, and as a result, we kind of draw upon each other for support, and I think that's great. And as Jelly mentioned, you'll always have a close connection to most people in your year, and as you go through shared deadlines, courseworks, intense periods of the year, it's really nice to have that support network to always be able to draw on, because they're going through the same thing as you. So yeah. The UEC, I think it is mentioned here. So that's basically the student union, and there are elections every year for it. You can kind of take up a number of posts. I'm on the UEC's community team, so I'm working with sustainability and outreach at the moment, and there's obviously re-elections coming up. That's a really great way to be able to express your opinions, even if you don't actually want to have to go towards executives at Dyson or the Dyson Institute team. You can talk to UEC reps, and they can feed it back in a productive manner. So that allows you to kind of voice any concerns you have, and it's nice that students are involved as well. So there's a lot of feedback involved in that process. Interns and grads are also really useful to talk to. they've obviously been through uni already, or they're already going through uni, so they can be really helpful when it comes to professional development or actual like technical engineering as well. And then, yeah, finally, so academic staff as well. Tim mentioned, and I think he might continue to mention as well, that we have technical engineers who are always on hand to help us academically. And that is really nice to have another opinion, another voice. If you have a maths problem you're stuck on, or a fluids question, it's nice to have that like diversity of explanation. So like, you know, we all learn in different ways. So it's nice to have lots of voices there. Yeah, I would say they're the main ones for me. But if you have any questions, let me know.
That's great, thanks Anushka. And yeah, here's just some of the key ones as Anushka pointed out there. So yeah, we try to really surround you with the support that you need. So anytime, at any place, you can call on whether it's your student support advisor just to chat about anything, or whether you're stuck in some of your academics or career in the workplace, there's always someone you can talk to. And I think all these guys will kind of back me up in saying that the Institute is a really supportive environment. So all the staff, all the students, we're kind of always on the lookout for each other, and we want to make sure that we're all kind of staying sane with everything going on. So there's definitely the support that you need whilst you're here. And here are just a few pictures from wellbeing and development days which we run, and other study support sessions as well. And now, conscious of time, because I want to leave space for questions at the end, but Jake, why don't you just take us quickly through the campus?
Yeah, I believe the first order of the day is to say where Malmesbury is. So Malmesbury you may not have heard of. I think people sometimes hear about it for the Abbey. It's the main tourist attraction in the area. Big old Abbey, one of the first, one of the oldest towns in the UK. But in terms of where it is, it's about 40 minutes from Bath and about 45 minutes from Bristol. Traffic pending, and it's in the Wiltshire countryside in the Cotswolds, so the area is really nice. And Malmesbury is a smallish town. There's enough of everything that you can get the right shops you want. There's a Tesco nearby in the next neighbouring town. There's like a few decent pubs to go to as well, so you'll often find, I think Wednesday night's pub night, you'll often find a few students down there. And yeah, if you want to go further afield to Bath and Bristol, you can get the city sort of life. As Jenny mentioned, the Bristol buses are really good. Obviously, COVID is not very good for those currently, but I'm sure by the time you guys are around, it will hopefully boil down a little bit. In terms of the campus, Malmesbury is the main Dyson site. It was historically the factory for Dyson, and it's now the RDD headquarters. So it's where all the new products are developed in like main parts. And there's a few extra branches that have gone out more recently. For example, Hellavington. They're the offices where the car project was being developed, and they've now since been filled with other projects, such as the robot vacuum has moved over there, I think. And there's also a office in Bristol. I personally haven't been to Hellavington and Bristol for work, although I have friends. I mean, I even lived with someone that was at Bristol last rotation. So it gives you the opportunity to sort of go in different offices, different places. So I can't say what Hellavington's like, nor Bristol. I'm sure the other guys has worked there, so they could probably briefly chip in for that in a minute. But the Malmesbury campus has 2 decent cafes with pizza ovens. The food of the Lightning Cafe, which is this background that I'm currently in now, this big old jet, it's a Lightning jet, that's where I get the name from. Yeah, food is really good, and there's lots and lots of office space. It's lots of hot desks, and you get a laptop, so you can choose where you want to work each day. Your team usually has a sort of zone you might go to. And the lecture spaces are within that in a certain area, and they're really properly geared up lecture spaces, nice whiteboards for the teamwork, and the big old screen at the front so you're not squinting. I personally have to wear glasses, but even the big screen is big enough to read normally. I'm just going to say what. So, oh yeah, lifestyle wise, there's the hangar, which is not a photo of it here. The hangar is on the Malmesbury site. It's a big old sort of like you might put an airplane in, like you might park one in there, and it's a big old sports hall, and there's a gym on the side. I think Pods is coming in a minute after some video, I believe. Pods is where you will live in the first year, and the hangar is right next door to there. So a bunch of us used to roll out of bed in the morning, roll straight out of bed and get straight into the gym. It was a lot easier when it was next door. I will say getting up for that now is a little bit tougher. And yeah, I think I'll talk about the Pods in a minute. I believe Tim's got a video for you.
Yeah, let's have a little look at the main Dyson campus in Malmesbury. yeah, that's a flavour of what you can expect when you're on campus in Malmesbury. And then, yeah, what Jake was talking about in terms of the Dyson Village, which is where you live. So we've got the pods, we've got the roundhouse and the hangar, and this makes up the kind of Dyson Village. And here is a quick video giving you a bit more of an insight into where you would be living in your first year. There we go. So that's the Dyson Village. So let's get into the nitty gritty, and I'll be quick because I want to open up to questions, as I said. So applying, what do you need? So these are the entry requirements that we are looking for. So you need 2 A's and a B at A level or equivalent. And this needs to include an A in maths and an A in a STEM subject. And alongside your initial application, which I'll talk through in a bit as well, we're also looking for that passion for engineering and that ability to show us that you will make a good engineer at Dyson. So we hold a 4-stage application process. Stage 1 is to submit your kind of just formal details, and we'll also be asking for a CV and a personal statement. And there's all the guidance you need is all on our website in terms of what we're looking for in those. If you get through that, then we'll be sending you some online tests, and this includes a numerical reasoning, diagrammatical aptitude, and then also a kind of personality-based questionnaire as well, so we can kind of build that picture of what makes you you, I guess. From there, we'll be reading your personal statements and CV, assessing those, and then we'll be inviting you to a telephone interview. And this is to kind of assess your passion for engineering, your ability to problem solve, and ask for kind of your experiences in that. And we'll also just be making sure that you're aware of what you're applying for and making sure that we're on the right page and on the same page. And then the final stage this year will be a technical interview. This will be a video interview with either 1 or 2 of our engineers at Dyson. And that will be, yeah, as I say, far more technical, looking at your maths abilities and skills to kind of apply that knowledge into engineering contexts. And all of these offers will be, we'll be looking to make offers by the end of January 2021. And as I say, the degree that you receive will be awarded by the Dyson Institute of Engineering and Technology. And the title of that degree, as you can see there, is a B.Eng Honours in Engineering. And then you would also add your specialism onto the end of that as well. Alongside the degree, you will also be receiving a level 6 apprenticeship standard. And that will kind of, form the basis of your degree apprenticeship. So how do you apply? You apply directly to us. So you don't apply through UCAS. So you could apply for your 5 universities through UCAS and then apply for us on top of that. So you almost have 6 options. You can fish in both ponds if you're not sure which route you want to go down. But yeah, applications will come directly to us and we will process that and manage that with you. And then, final thing to say is that applications opened yesterday. So you can officially apply and they'll be open for the next few weeks until the 15th of November. So be sure to get your application in if you're looking to apply. If you've got any questions, you can ask us now, obviously, or you can kind of log onto our website. All the information you need is there. And then also our email address is here as well if you need to get in touch. So I think that's everything that you need to know, but I'm sure you've got questions. So we've got about 10 minutes, maybe a couple more if we can slightly run over. But I'm going to hand over to Ellie, who is going to lead us through some Q&A.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm fully sold on the Dyson Institute, so I'm sure all the rest of all of the students on the line are too. So I know we've got loads of questions that have come in already, so I'm going to get onto those. But in terms of a first question, just from me, I know that now I can see on the screen, 3 people have been fully successful through the application process. So really, you're the best people to ask. You know, if you could give one tip to the students who are on the line now, who've like made the effort to come and join us at this time in the evening. Jelly, maybe starting from you, as you're, I guess, 3 years deep into it, but what would your one piece of advice be, I guess, through the application process to make yourself stand out?
I think you've just got to be like super honest, super like just yourself. You know, for my telephone interview, I actually forgot the time of it the first time. Someone rang me up and I had to reschedule it. And I was late to the actual like assessment day thing. And, you know, I wasn't what you'd say like a model applicant at that point, but I was really honest with them about my interests and why I was applying. You know, I was just very open. And I think I can say the same for everyone now who's just been really honest with them. They didn't try and find out loads of facts about Dyson before, or, you know, just sit down and be yourself. I know that's a tacky thing to say, but
no,
that's the best advice I can give.
That's great advice. And I guess, Jacob, you're the next on my screen. So Jake, what's your one piece of advice to follow on to that?
I mean, it's not technically an advice of how to get in, because as Jenny says, if you are sort of the right fit, they'll definitely see that, as long as you are happy to talk about yourself a little bit. And even if you aren't, they can sort of, you know, they'll ask you lots of questions and you can demonstrate how enthusiastic you are. I guess everyone here has the enthusiasm. I think one piece of advice mainly is the application team aren't scary. So when I was applying, it seemed a little bit like, oh, like it's a big company, it's really scary, like the kind of corporate, whatever. But having actually met all of the team afterwards, they're just really lovely people who just have your best interest at heart. So I guess don't get disheartened. It's a interesting process. I mean, for a lot of you, it'll be your first like major job application and that sort of thing. But they're all really nice people, basically.
Well, that's good to hear. And yeah, no, great advice. Anishka, what about from your side?
I would just say ask loads of questions. Don't be afraid to ask through every single stage. So like through the phone interview all the way to the assessment centre, whether that's virtual or in person, I'm not sure yet. But either way, just make sure you ask as many questions as you need. No one's going to get mad if you didn't hear what the interviewer was saying, or if you want them to repeat it in a different way. In fact, it's a great sign if you're asking questions, because that's one of the most important things in the workplace. It's genuinely just being curious, showing that you're engaged. So yeah.
Absolutely, and a perfect segue to me reading out some of the questions that the students have asked us today, so thanks for that. Sanya, I know, brilliant attendee to some of the events over lockdown. So first question from you, do you get a lot of students with an interest in subjects such as physics as well, or are they mostly students solely interested in engineering? So I guess that's one for you, Tim.
Yeah, I'm happy to take that. So the simple answer is yes. So even though our requirements don't state that you need physics, we find that most people who apply who are interested in engineering tend to be studying physics alongside their maths. So the maths is an absolute must-have, but we tend to find that most applicants will either be studying physics or something like computer science or engineering related. So if you don't study physics, then we would require you to just attend and pass a summer school before term starts. So that would just be a couple of days before term starts, and that will just make sure that you've got everything that you need to know for day one. But as I said, it's not a prerequisite for the course. So for those of you who aren't studying physics, don't be put off. We've had some students who haven't had physics and they've joined us before, so don't let that put you off.
Great, and brilliant question, Tanya, because they're the details you need to know. I'm going to ask this one to Anishka, and also a great question. How did you find it being a woman in STEM? Is it difficult, or do you feel like you fit in well? Great, important question.
Yeah, that's a great question, whoever asked that. Yeah, really great. So yeah, so obviously like engineering in the UK and also globally like has a massive shortage of women. That's what the industry is at the moment, and we're getting there slowly, but you know the numbers are increasing slowly. Dyson does not have that many women in the workplace, to be fair, but the Dyson Institute does, so they're kind of like leading the way towards a more diverse workforce, which is something that I find really exciting. I personally have never encountered any form of discrimination. People are so open, there's so much transparency. There are lots of like respect at Dyson talks and workshops, and the culture here is really inclusive and welcoming and open. That said, you can never judge a company's culture and then say that there won't be an issue. So if there is an issue, I'm sure that there are really like solid support systems in place if you do feel there has been a microaggression or you've been discriminated against or whatever, but that hasn't happened to myself or anyone who I know. There are lots of women in engineering events as well which go on. So every year they have panel sessions, they have talks, they have an entire like women in engineering week around March, April time. So that's really good. You can actually get involved with hosting sessions, watching them, learning from other females. There are also lots of I'm pretty sure that there are lots of like women networks as well within the company, so you can definitely get involved there. It is a very inclusive and welcoming culture here.
Yeah, and I'll just pick up as well, for those of you who like stats, so I think in the HE, in kind of universities generally, for kind of engineering related subjects, it's about 16% female. At the Dyson Institute, we're just over 30%, or just in around 30%. So we're well and above kind of other universities, and I think that goes to show kind of our kind of openness and wanting to make things really easy for everyone who wants to join.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. That's good kind of thing to jot down as well. I think people that are interested in that and prove you've been on the session and you've learned, you've got a few stats from joining it as well, which is great. One for you, Jelly. Then, were you ever worried that you weren't enough like a typical engineer in terms of the way you do tasks or your preferred sector? So I guess, yeah, well, typical engineer, is that a thing? And have you ever worried about it?
Not at all. I think across the business, I've experienced so many different types of engineering, from like heavy software and electrical sort of teams to like design innovation teams. You know, everyone's an engineer, and it doesn't matter what your specialism is or what you're interested in. It's not, there's no typical engineer, I'd say. And I think all of us, even in the Institute, have like completely different interests when it comes to engineering, and I don't think that's something you'd struggle with, whether you're in Dyson or another business.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear. And again, a great question, and to bear in mind for everyone who's thinking about applying and joining the session today, you're the perfect person to apply, every single one of you, so go ahead and do it. This is potentially a difficult question and around stats as well, so one for you, Tim, potentially. So Matthew's asked, on average, how many people do you think apply and how many places are available? Don't worry if we don't know exactly.
Yeah, but, yeah. No, I can answer that. So yeah, as the guys were saying earlier on, each year group's about 40. So we look to kind of recruit about 40 also undergraduates. That's not a quota to fill, or it's not about filling spaces for us. It's about finding the right people for us. So if that's you, then we will want to make you an offer. In terms of applications, it does vary between year on year, but we probably expect between 500 and 750 applications. But as I say, that may fluctuate as we become more well known. So we've only been in existence for 3 years, so we can't really say what it would be on a year by year case.
No, that's good to give context as well. It does sound, it's competitive for the students applying, but the fact you're on this today means you can talk about that and show that you've got kind of the enthusiasm to be here and learn a bit more. So quite a few questions around the numbers of people of the intake. So answered those for Sue and Elizabeth. Maya's got a question. So very similar actually. So how competitive is it and how many people apply? So very similar. And Maya, hopefully that answered your question. So one from Mian. Hi, if one's grades are not quite up to the requirements but very close and the needed requirements, would it still be worth applying and trying, or is it one of those situations where actually double check against the qualifications and then go from there? I think based on what we went through earlier, then that would be a requirement, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so yeah, it's a tricky one. In order to apply, then if you're completing your kind of A-levels this year, then obviously you haven't got your grades yet, but we will be looking for that kind of predicted grade level. So we need to see evidence that you are working at that standard. For those of you who have already completed, then yeah, it's definitely this is what you need to have in order to apply. So yeah, if you're not sure, do just send us an email and we can get back to you.
Yeah, absolutely, and lots of great questions. I'm having a scan through, but lots of similar themes. So I think we're covering most of them in the questions we've answered so far. But Jake, one for you. Do you ever regret not having a typical uni experience? Or to me, it looked very similar to a typical uni experience.
Yeah, so in terms of the comparison from university to this, I'd say the main difference in terms of the structure as well is that at university, you usually need to get a job along the side as well. So maybe like a weekend job, that sort of thing. With this, it means that you get to have your job as your university and the workplace as well. So there's a need for the extra weekend stuff. There was a question on there which I can sort of tie in as well in terms of the hours you do. Closer to assignments and those sorts of things, you may spend some of more of your evening time doing work, much like a full-time student would. So it wouldn't be 9 to 5 like you'd, as a uni student, you'd always do some more time on your weekends. So I'd say the hours would be quite similar to a university student. That's including the workplace. What was the, oh yeah, and I was going to say in terms of the social life, there's a similar amount of stuff going on. Obviously, universities have like higher periods of stuff happening, like Freshers Week is a big event, all that sort of thing goes on. But as far as the people I've spoken to at university, the amount of events that keep going on, there's about the same number of events happening at the Institute. It's just it happens with the same 150 people attending, which I think is a really nice opportunity to get to know people properly. Because you don't have to see them in passing. At university, you may just see people that you never actually ever have a conversation with. Whereas here, it's pretty much normal for everyone to know everyone's name. As Jenny said, you could sit down for lunch with anyone that's here. And on these events, you just get a chance to properly actually build connections with different people and different parts of the company, which I think is really great.
Yeah, that's brilliant, and it gives a good idea. So thanks for tying in a couple of those questions in there as well. Just conscious of time, and I know that particularly after a day of school, and we're impressed that you're here anyway, that in terms of timing, I just want to get one last question in from Mahawi. So thanks for the question, and this one for Tim, I think. So what aspects of the application process do you think are most important?
Yeah, no, really great question, and I think even to be asking that question is the right question to be asking. That's what we want to see. So we want to see that you've actually engaged with what we're offering with the Dyson Institute. So we want to see that it's a deliberate application, that it's not just a generic application that you've copied from UCAS and just sent in and just to see what will happen. We want to see that you've engaged with what we're looking for. So I think one thing I would definitely recommend is go onto our website, look at the entry requirements, and not only do we have the kind of academic requirements, we also list the kind of non-academic requirements, the kind of skill set that we're looking for. So these are skills that we want to see that you can demonstrate. So this could include your passion for problem solving, your curiosity about engineering, your communication skills, your team working skills, and think of examples. So especially when you're kind of writing your personal statement or your CV, like that's what we want to see. We want to see examples of how you've kind of built these skills, how you've developed these skills, and how you want to take that on further, and bringing that back to the Dyson Institute. Why is the Dyson Institute the place for you to develop those skills? Why do you think this is the place for you, and why do you think you'll be a good fit for what we are offering? Because I think what we are offering is very different from a traditional university. It's very different to a normal apprenticeship. So what is it about us that you think is the right thing for you? And I think if you can make it relevant, if you can make your things tailored to what we're looking for, then you've got a really good chance in standing out from the crowd. So as I say, look at the website. All of the resources that you need are on there, and if you follow those, you've got a really good chance of kind of ticking all those boxes that we want to see.
Yeah, absolutely, and great timing, I guess, for the event today, because now, as Tim mentioned earlier, the roles are open, and Pathway CTM are also here to help support you through that process. So everything you've kind of taken on board from today has been really, really helpful, and thank you so much to all of the panelists for kind of being here and bringing it all to life for the students. So it's been wonderful, and in the chat box now, I've just shared a survey. So in that, it'll be great if anyone has two minutes now to fill that out out and let us know if you are interested. We'll be able to help support you there and help coach and mentor you through that process based on the relationship we have with the Dyson Institute. So do get on and fill out that survey now so that we can help you through that process and understand where you're at and any questions you might have, because we've had such an engaged audience today. We've got so many questions come through, and we're really here to help support you off the back of this and get those questions answered for you. So thank you so much to all of our panelists and for the event this evening, and also thank you so much to all of the students who've committed their time to join us, and we think you're really well placed now to get applying and through to potentially being one of these panelists in a few years' time talking about your experiences. It's great to see the thank yous in the chat box, so yeah, that's brilliant. And any questions that you have after today, we have our student inbox, so student@pathwayctm.com. But as I say, fill out that survey. We'll follow up with every single person who's been on the call today. Thank you so much to all of our panelists. Have a lovely evening, everyone. And yeah, get applying. And it's brilliant to see the enthusiastic thank yous.